As we find this lying down position, let's close our eyes, allow our bodies to relax. And gently bend our knees. As we hold this position with our knees, notice how our low back feels. Did it change its shape? Does it feel different? And begin to walk our feet out just a little bit wider than hip width distance apart. And we're going to start with a really small, slow movement. Let's rock our knees side to side, massaging the back of our sacrum, our hips, where our spine comes through the back of our hips. Let our movement get a little bit bigger, starting to move into the soft tissue of our glutes. Keeping our feet wide. Start to lift one hip up off the mat at a time. And slowly draw our knees back up to the ceiling. Walk our feet in, hip width distance apart. Draw our knees into our chest, give them a hug. Lengthening through our low back. And making sure our blocks are handy. We're going to keep our knees hugged into our chest, open our arms out like wings, and then lower our knees over to the right as we keep them hugged in towards our chest. Now you can place the block on the outside of your knees, supporting where your knees are so both shoulders can stay on the floor. You can place your block between your legs, supporting both your shins and your upper leg. We can keep our gaze pointed up to the ceiling. We can turn our gaze to the left. But notice that we not only have length through our low back, but we're also revolving, allowing a little more length through the left side of our low back. And hugging our knees in towards our chest again. Taking our knees back up to the ceiling. We're going to take them over to the left. Gaze remains either up to the ceiling or we turn it to the right. Noticing that our knees are drawn more towards our chest than they are out to the side. Retaining as much of that knees to chest position as we revolve. Using our blocks to make sure that our shoulders stay on the floor. And drawing our knees in a little bit closer, lift our knees back up. We're going to grab a hold of any blocks, place them off to the side, lower our feet onto the floor. And then on our next inhale, let's sweep our arms up to the ceiling and back behind us. On our next exhale, bring our arms back to our side. Inhale, reach our arms up. Exhale, bring our arms back to our side. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bring our hands back. As we flow, make sure that we're keeping the front of our ribs down. We're not letting them lift as we lift our arms. Maybe that means our arms don't make it all the way back, and that's okay. Maybe our arms come out a little bit wider. Maybe we bend our elbows. Make sure that we're honoring our shoulders in this movement. And the next time our arms come back behind us, we're going to keep them there. Walk our feet in towards our hips, lift our hips up and draw them up to the ceiling. Keeping our head and neck relaxed. We're going to lower our hips down until we feel any movement at all in our head, neck, or shoulders. And then once we find that movement, we pause, lift our hips back up. Lower them down just till we feel movement, and then lift them back up. Lower them down just till we feel movement, and lower them back up. Usually the movement feels like a tip of the head, even slightly. Find one more time. Then lower our hips all the way down. Draw our knees back into our chest. Give them a hug. Either roll to one side or rock forward and back. We're going to come to standing at the front of our mat. As we find our standing position, let's inhale, sweep our hands up. Exhale, bend our knees, hinge forward from our hips, and fold. Inhale, lift halfway, find a flat back. Exhale, fold. Bend our knees, rise all the way up. Hands come together in front of our heart. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Bend our knees, rise all the way up. And exhale, bring our hands together in front of our heart. One more time. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, fold. Step our right foot back about halfway. Toes either point forward or turn out slightly. Feet are hip width distance apart. We're setting up for pyramid pose. So if this is a pose that you need blocks for because your hands don't comfortably make it to the floor, feel free to grab your blocks and place them underneath your hands. And then we're gonna let our head hang, neck and shoulders relax, spine lengthens. As we let go through the upper body, bring a little more awareness to our lower body. We're straightening our front leg to what feels good for us. We stay solid in that back foot. We feel the outer left hip draw back slightly just till we feel our tailbone point towards the back of our mat. We breathe and let go. Slowly lift our head a little bit. Step our right foot back all the way. Remove our blocks if we have them underneath our hands. We're going to step our front foot back to plank. Lower all the way down to our bellies. Cobra, lifting our chest, rolling our shoulders back, hugging our elbows into our side. Lowering all the way down, hug our bellies in, press up and back, downward facing dog. Walk forward, front of our mat, and fold. Stepping our left foot back halfway, grab a hold of our blocks if we need them. Feet are hip width distance apart. The length of our feet is short. Back foot. Toes are pointing forward or slightly turned out. Then let our upper body hang. Let go of our head. Feeling our front leg lengthen. Feeling the outer right hip hug in just enough to keep our tailbone pointing towards the back of our mat. Bend our front knee. Place our hands on the mat, removing the blocks out from underneath our hands. And then we're going to step our left foot back into lunge. Right foot back into plank. Lower all the way down. Releasing the tops of our feet, cobra. Lifting our chest, lengthening our spine. And lowering down, hug our bellies in. Press up and back, downward facing dog. Lifting our tailbone up. And then walk forward, front of our mat. And fold. Bend our knees, rise all the way up. Hands come to heart center. Shift our weight into our left foot, lift our right heel. Step our right foot back, lunge. Shoulders come over our hips. We're going to pivot on our feet. Turn our right toes to the long edge of our mat. Turn our left toes to the long edge of our mat. Then straighten our left leg. We're going to bend our right knee, shoot our hips back, extend our arms out. Now we're going to pivot around to the back of our mat. So pivoting on our feet, take your right foot out wide enough that you have strength and balance in your legs. Hands reach up to the ceiling, we're in lunge. We're going to take our hands down to the mat. We're still facing the back of our mat. Step our right foot back, plank. Lift our hips up and back, downward facing dog. Shift forward and step our left foot forward. Then we're going to reach our hands back up to the ceiling. Straighten our front leg, pivot on our right foot, turn it to the long edge of our mat, followed by our left. Then we're going to take our arms out to the side as we bend our right knee and shoot our hips back. We're making one big circle as we come around to the front of our mat. Pivot on our feet again, reaching our hands up. Walk your right foot out. You're now facing the front of your mat. Take our hands down to the mat. Step forward and fold. Letting our head hang, neck and shoulders relax. Taking a moment to pause. Step our left foot back, lunge. Rise all the way up, high lunge. Turn our left toes towards the long edge of our mat. Turn our right toes to the long edge of our mat. Bend our left knee, reach our hips back, arms come out to the side. We're making that nice big circle facing, going the opposite direction. Pivot around to the back of our mat, reach our hands up. Take our hands down to the mat. Step back, plank. Downward facing dog. Come forward, stepping our right foot forward. Walk our hands back to meet our foot if our foot doesn't make it far enough forward. Reach our hands up to the ceiling, high lunge. Pivot around to the left, so left foot turns out, followed by right. Bend our left knee, lower our arms out to the side as we reach our hips back. Pivot around to the front of our mat. Reach our hands up. Hands come down to the floor. Step forward and fold. Let go of our head, neck, shoulders. Inhale, rise up halfway. Exhale, fold. Bend our knees, come all the way up. Hands come together in front of our heart. Step back to the center of our mat. Lift our right heel. Feel our weight gently shift to the left. Left knee is soft. Extend our right leg. Bend our left knee and tap the floor with your heel. Come up, reach our right foot back. Keep our chest upright, shoulders over ribs, ribs over hips. Bend our left knee, tap the floor. Come up. And then we're going to take our knee underneath us and shoot it out to the side. Bend our left knee, tap the floor. Straighten our leg, bring it in, and release our foot underneath us. Lift our left hip. We're staying solid over our right. Extend our left leg. Bend our right knee, tap the floor with our heel. Come up, sweep our left foot back, keep that belly hugged in. Bend our right knee, tap the floor with your left foot. Straighten your right leg, bring your left knee back in, shoot it out to the side. Bend our right knee, tap the floor with our foot. Straighten our leg, bring our foot in, put it down. Shake it out. It's releasing any tension that you're hanging on to. And come back to center. Lift our right heel again. Lift our right knee. Holding, breathing. Turn our right knee out to the side. Put our foot down at our calf, ankle, or inner thigh. Equal pressure, foot into leg, leg into foot. Option to add arms, hands in front of you, arms out wide. You can have index finger to thumb. Keep our hips square to the front of our mat. Breathing. Hands come together in front of our heart. Release our right foot down, shake it out. Come back to center, lift our left heel. Stay solid through your right hip, knee, ankle, foot. Lift our left knee up. Turn our knee out to the side. Put our foot down at ankle, calf, or inner thigh. Chest stays lifted, spine stays long. Hands either come to heart center or we open them up. Index finger comes to thumb if we opened it up. The mudra or hand gesture of balance. Balance in mind, body, and breath. Bringing our hands together in front of our heart. Release our left foot down and shake it out. Step forward to the front of our mat. On our next inhale, sweep our hands up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up halfway. Exhale, fold. Walk both feet back, plank. Hold. Tap our right foot out to the side. Bring it in. Tap our left foot out to the side. Bring it in. Right foot in, left foot in. One more time each side. Keeping our hips stable. Then reach our hips up and back, downward facing dog. Lowering our knees down to the mat. Walking our hands underneath our shoulders. Stacking our joints, spreading our fingers wide. Find a few cat-cows. Your breath. Inhale as we find cow. Exhale as we find cat. Moving with the strength of our core. So working with our back, keeping length and strength in cow. Using our belly to find cat. Noticing how we move through our spine. And coming back to a neutral spine. Walk your hands forward. We're going to come onto our bellies. Put our hands underneath our forehead. And relax. Letting our neck soften, our shoulders let go. Now we're going to find that same cat-cow, but lying on our belly, which is going to be a much smaller movement and a much stronger movement. On our next exhale, begin to round our upper back. Lifting it up to the ceiling. Then inhale, open up our upper back. Feel our shoulder blades pull down our back. Feel our head lighten on our hands. We're just keeping this through our upper back at the moment. On our next exhale, rounding our upper back, lifting our spine up to the ceiling. And then inhale, flatten our upper back. You're going to find one of these is a lot easier than the other. Find it one more time. Then relax our upper body. We're going to do the same thing through our lower body, and then we're going to put them both together. On our next exhale, hug our belly in. Let our tailbone reach down to the floor. Lifting our low back up to the ceiling. Again, not a big movement. Then inhale, lengthen across our belly, lift our tailbone up. Keep space in our low back. Exhaling, using our belly muscles, round our low back. Try not to use your glutes until the very end, if you use your glutes at all. And inhaling, lifting, opening up our belly, engaging our back. Exhaling, hugging our belly in. Taking our time with the movement. Your breath may be much different than mine. And then relax. And we're going to create a wave within our spine. We're going to start from the head, move down to the tailbone, then go from the tailbone back up to the head.
On our next exhale, round our upper back. Hug our bellies in. And then start to tuck our tailbone. And then reach our tailbone up as we soften our upper body. Lengthening across our belly, reach our heart forward. Maybe our shoulders move down. Maybe our head slightly comes up off our hands, but it should be very, very little, like it's barely touching our hands. And then bring it back down and relax. Again, remember this movement is not very big. And you're going to find areas of your spine that you don't connect with as easily. The goal here is to make those connections again. Becoming aware of how we can move through our spine without using our limbs. On our next exhale, round our upper back. Hug our belly in. Feeling the rounding of our low back. As we find cat pose, try not to use your glutes except for maybe at the very, very end of your movement. Then inhale, lift our tailbone up using the strength of our back. Lengthen across our belly, start to reach our heart forward. Then relax our spine. We're going to do that one more time. On our next exhale, rounding our upper back. Rounding our low back. Hugging our belly in. And inhale, reach our tailbone towards the back of our mat. Lift it up to the ceiling, lengthen across our belly. Open up our heart towards the front of our mat. Let our head lighten on our hands. And then relax. Lift our head up, turn our gaze forward, slide our hands around to the side of our chest. Hug our elbows in tight, lower our head down, hug our bellies in, press up to all fours. Joints are stacked. Then from here, we're gonna open up our heart again, find cow pose, reach our hips back towards our heels, lift our tailbone up, the front of our body open, and then come up. Bring our spines to neutral, round our back, tucking our tailbone, lift our spine up to the ceiling, and draw our hips back halfway and hold. Bend our elbows, lower them down halfway and hold. Lower all the way down to the mat into child's pose. Walking our hands in underneath our shoulders. Press ourselves up.
We're going to grab a hold of our towel and our therapy balls and blocks. As we find our therapy balls, we're going to keep them in the bag. So if they're not there, go ahead and put them in. Cinch it up tight. And then we're going to come to lying down on our back. Grab a hold of our therapy balls first. We're going to walk our feet in towards our hips. Make sure head, neck, shoulder blades are all comfortably relaxed onto the mat. And we're going to lift our hips up off the floor a little bit. Slide the therapy balls in above our hips and on our low back. And as we do so, make sure the center of the therapy balls are over the spine so that the spine is not being touched by the therapy balls. And we're going to lower ourselves down a little bit. So I don't want a lot of pressure in the low back. I want just a little bit. Let your arms relax. And then this is where you may want a towel. So a towel folded up so that you have enough height to honor where you are. And then you're going to place the towel underneath your hips. And you want to be able to keep the curve of your low back. So this is going to be super important. So the adjustment of your towel needs to honor where you are, that you can add a little bit of pressure with the therapy balls in your low back. Support where your hips are at, where your glutes are, and allow the towel to take off some of the pressure. Stay off the hips and stay off the spine. Lower down to what feels good for you. We want to keep the natural curve of our low back. And the goal here is to release tension in the spinal muscles that run through our low back. We're not trying to create any more tension. There should be no pressure on our spine in this lumbar region of our low back. This should feel almost easy. And we should be just above the hips at the lowest part of our low back. And then we're going to lift our hips and roll the ball up just a tiny bit. And then bring our hips back down. Again, we're staying on the spinal muscles of our low back. The pressure should be light, not heavy. Feel our breath move through our belly, expanding out to the front, the sides, and into the back. So the more pressure that you get in your low back, you're getting from your breath. Allowing the low back to expand into the balls. Lifting our hips up. Roll the ball up a little bit more, staying in the low back region. Lower our hips back down. Let our breath move into the back side of our body. If you have room to move the ball up a little bit more and still stay within the low back, lift your hips up, roll the ball up, and lower back down. Once you have the ball comfortably placed, refocus on our breath. Slowly lift our hips up. Remove the therapy balls and the towel out from underneath us, lowering our hips back down to the mat. Let's draw our knees into our chest and give them a hug. Releasing our feet down to the mat. Grab a hold of one of our blocks. Place it underneath our hips, aiming for the tailbone area more than the low back. Then draw our knees into our chest. Let them relax. We're going to let our arms stay relaxed at our side. Using the block to deepen this stretch in our low back, allowing our arms to stay out of the pose and allow them to relax. Option to extend one leg back. Adding a hamstring stretch into the low back stretch. Bending our knee, add the other leg. Bend our knee, releasing our feet down to the mat. Release the block out from underneath us. And then we can use our blocks underneath our knees. We're going to set up for Shavasana, final relaxation. Drawing our awareness back to our bodies. Begin to bend our knees. Roll over to our right side. Press ourselves up. Find our way back to a comfortable seat. As we rise up tall through our spine, notice how we feel. Can we keep the shape of our low back? Being that natural inward curve. Can we keep our belly hugged in, supporting us? Can we feel our head aligned over our shoulders? Bringing our hands together in front of our heart, let's seal in all that we found in this practice. This practice of releasing tension in our low back, finding movement, balance, opportunities of letting go of all that we think we know, and allowing ourselves to experience this practice. To notice how we responded through things that were different or challenging. Let all of that remain a gift, the gift of learning about ourselves. Take that with us as we come off of our mat, as we get ready to move around in these bodies that may feel just a little bit different today. Namaste.